I think we'll launch into this. So good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, all of those faces out there. Thank you for being here. My name is Larry Rippey. I'm the Visual Arts Coordinator for the San Geronimo Valley Community Center. And this is our third edition of the Virtual Artist Salon. This is essentially in lieu of the kind of meetings and art receptions and get-togethers we were doing at the community center in the before times, back when we didn't have a pandemic. And we instituted this as a way of just bringing the Valley artists, in particular San Geronimo Valley artists and artists beyond as well, of course, together, just to kind of keep us connected and seeing what creative folks are still doing out there. And I'm really pleased to have this month, our guest artist is Liz Lauter. And she has some pretty amazing ceramic work. And she's gonna essentially take you on a tour of her studio, of her process. And well, I think I'm gonna pretty much hand it over to her in a moment. I do wanna remind people that if you have no intention of speaking, please keep your mic off, and we will kind of take questions along the way, and you're free to put questions in the chat that you have so that we can kind of filter those along the way as we move along. Also, we'll record this, so for anyone who is missing it now, if you talk to someone later who would like to see it, it will be on our virtual art event video library, which is on the San Geronimo Valley Community Center's website. And so I think, as they say, without further ado, we're gonna hand it over to Liz. Welcome, Liz.
Hi, thank you, everyone. Can you see everything okay? Oopsie, I'm trying to make this so that you can see my studio. There.
Yes.
Okay, great. This is so exciting to see. I saw glimpses of some of you participants, but I'm using my phone as a camera, so now I can just see myself. Well, welcome to my studio, and welcome to a scene of what an artist does in COVID lockdown with as much materials as I need and equipment necessary and no interruptions. And I know a lot of artists have been happy about that. So and everything was canceled that I was making artwork for. So there's a lot of stuff here. So I'm gonna show you what I've done. I'll show you my studio. I'm gonna thread through it the process of how I make some of my pieces. Like the main thing that is my shtick these days, which is the Tree of Life, which was in the last year I was teaching at Redwood. I learned how to build them from a workshop, and I'm obsessed with them. And I'll explain why. But I basically am working in terracotta clay, low fire, and I'm dipping in Majolica glaze, which is a traditional Italian. You've probably seen the white ceramics with maybe you see the brown clay underneath. And so that's how I'm decorating my work. It's low fire, so I can fire it. My kiln probably won't need a replacement of coils for a long time if I go with low temperature. So I'm kind of straddling folk art and unabashedly with fine art and a little craft. And I'm just going with it because no one's here to stop me. And so sometimes my work is just pure sculptural, and sometimes as a painter, which my training originally was at Davis of painting, it's just a canvas, and my ceramic plate, I just have to make a plate so I can paint on it, or any kind of a hand-built form that is a canvas. So I wanted to just kind of give you a sense of why the Tree of Life influenced all of this work that I'm going to show you. And I have a picture of one from a book. I'm going to show you up close. Can you see that? The light is reflecting. Yeah. Okay, so that's a traditional Tree of Life from Mexico. And it's painted in acrylic or oil paint. It's made of terracotta. It's also a candelabra, and it's flowers, and it really relates to the kind of the sacred tree, the tree of abundance, the tree that's in Persian carpets. It's in the Bible. it's the tree of knowledge. It's the source of good and evil. It's a growth form. And so the tree for me is this endless inspiration to make work. So if you could show Rebecca, I have only 4 slides that'll kind of cue you into how I'm interpreting this tree of life. So Rebecca's going to show a slide. So this is a slide of Eve, and I've been doing Adam and Eve because that's been the tree of life, the tree of knowledge that is kind of a natural for the Mexican artists, but also Adam and Eve. And I like the play on using the candelabra, the tree of life, with the narrative of contemporary life and times of Adam and Eve. And so this is Eve taking a break from Adam, but it has all of the details of things that might look familiar now with the arch, the coiled armature and the added flowers and things. So next slide. This one should be of Adam and Eve. Yeah, so this one is, they get bigger and bigger. So this is, the form probably looks similar to the one I showed you. It's Adam and Eve apple picking. And Eve is precariously leaning out from the tree, and Adam is concerned and the stake is worried. So these 3 characters are always going to be somehow related in this series. And I practiced how to make those little birds, and I've watched videos of Veronica Castillo, who's famous tree of life artist in Mexico, and watched them make the little leaves and even how to build the tree. Next slide. Here it comes. So the tree of life really came to Mexico from the Spanish, and it's the candelabras and the incense burners. And so this is just one of the many forms that I experimented with that really was inspired from what I saw. Although it's my own, I really am addicted now to the tension of, will this one fall over? Because I'll show you in my studio how I build them. I build them flat, and then I have to stand them up. And they do this and they do that. And I love the tension of it. Now you'd think I'd be afraid, but I just got a little addicted to daring it. And I've had some pieces fall down, and then I was kind of satisfied. Okay, next slide's the last one. So it was a natural segue to make menorahs, because there is the candelabra, there is the tree of life, there is all of the abundance and growth of celebrating the holiday. And so I was really into making a lot of different menorahs this past holiday. And so you'll see I go from candelabras to tree of life, menorahs, to all kinds of functional things, which this candelabras are. Okay, so that's the last slide. And I'm gonna pick up the camera now and show you around the room. Does anyone have any questions? That's teacher talk. Yeah, no questions yet. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera, right? That's what I'm supposed to do. Okay, so here's the one you just saw. And I'm going to just go slow through my studio, and you can kind of see I've done candlesticks because I wanted to try to make something that was a small piece of the tree of life without all the work, different shapes. And I love the whole thing of attaching. And then sometimes I take a break and just do a painting. The leaves are any kind of leaf. I studied botany at Davis and art. And so I just make flowers. So there's, this one is a candelabra, but it's really recent. And I was adding gems and things. Those are really fun. And playing with how flowers grow in the different stages. I made one upstairs. I'll show. It's wall mounted. Okay, so then this one is birds in the tree. This big one, and come up close. So I handmade all these parts, and then I'm using special wire that I can use in the kiln. And in some cases, I discovered that like this leaf, this would warp and just droop down if I fired it. So I attached the leaves after. So that one's fun. That was really playing with warm and cool colors together. And here, this is the Earth Goddess. And on my website, it's properly photographed, but I was playing is, I guess, what artists do, different flowers and patterns. And I lived in Israel for 4 years, so the Islamic arts really got to me. And so you could kind of see those pointed things. The other thing I experimented with every firing, I always try to make something go wrong. I attached beads. After they're fired, I stuck wires in the clay. And so when I fire it, there are all these wires sticking out. But then when it comes out, I put the beads on. So that's how you could see. So this is very feminine. Need I say more? Okay. And so then I'm into like, let's just be crazy with menorahs. And I don't know how many of you are subscribed to Hadassah magazine, but they featured one in there. And then the got a lot of people interested. There's the one you just saw. That one, that was one of my early ones.
Wow.
And then just candelabras. If I come in close, you can see. So I went to Italy and learned the Majolica technique, the traditional one. It was so fun. The guy was smoking cigarettes, chain cigarettes the whole time. I could barely breathe, but he showed me how to do the colors, which Majolica painting is just like painting watercolor, except it is a little, there's technical stuff. And I got some of the colors. So here's one of my first Adam and Eve. They're having a picnic. What you can't see on this on the back is the snake is up her back. He's kind of wrapped around her. She's two-timing Adam. And then this is the harvest one. So grandchildren love it. There's the watermelon, the lemon. You can kind of identify things. And there's more. I mean, I'm not going to over menorah you, but they move. So they're kind of alive, which is really fun. And then I experimented with doing tulips and things because I garden, like a lot of us garden, but I stuck the wire in there and there's wires holding those. But this wire is great for the kiln, except if something is too heavy and then, oh no, it fell. And so then I glued this bird in after so I could solve that. This is my first piece after retiring from 20 years of teaching. You can see this tentative little bird. It's in its cage. It's not coming out yet. So let's see, we're going along here, different sizes. And then I throw in the wheel. Of course, you have to throw pottery on the wheel. I love this idea of the cake plate. And I realized that a lot of my pieces are about these art objects that are part of a celebration. And so I just not holding back on making more cake plates. So this one has beads on it. I added the beads after, but I put little loops on the underside. So afterwards I sat down and added. I discovered I had finally a reason to go to a gem show. I've always wanted to go, and I got a whole bunch of stuff. So different cake plates. And one thing I'm going to show you the table. Have I done any candelabras with a building? I didn't see the rest of the quote of the question there. So just experimenting with the full palette, and I discovered I could get a pink, more cake plates. So this starts to look very Italian.
Yeah.
And I found out that I'm half Italian from a DNA test. So now that validates my doing all these different things.
So
And you
Liz,
can,
can I just ask you briefly, because you mentioned that, of course, you had years of experience as an art teacher, and you alluded to botany and painting. What is your actual art background? I mean, can you tell us just a little bit about that as you move along here?
yeah, so I'm drawing. I've been a painter my whole life. And then in college, I was at Davis, and I really focused on just painting. And Wayne Thiebaud was my guy. And but I also was a botany major because I was afraid of wasting the college tuition on just art, because that was just too wonderful. So
Move.
right, and so so making flowers is just natural. I mean, I garden, I grew these, and then I could do the botanical details of any flower. So that's kind of been useful, and you can see it in my pieces that there's both, you know, design elements, things that are like textiles or embroidery, or things that are from the Middle East, where I was looking at tiles all the time. Or it jumps back to more naturalistic, or I interpret my own. So I have kind of this endless vocabulary kind of going back and forth of like, there, this is fun. I discovered epoxy. So I could, yeah, you're not supposed to see the underside, but I could make these in two parts. And I also was playing with the idea of connecting like a 3-level things. And here, this one has a lot of flowers on it. You can see I've done Judaica. It's a huge business. Well, I'm obviously not making a huge business, but people want beautiful Judaica, things that are religious for the Jewish holidays. So there's another little thing. Okay, so let me just go, so I don't get you dizzy. I'm going to go to this side of the room.
Could you do that pan again? I just want people to see this unleashed creativity.
Well, this is like this is just a fraction of it. Yeah. So Marin Open Studio, I mean, I need it. I'm going to just set up in the driveway so I can put stuff. Yeah, there's more upstairs all over the house. Let me just go to the Adam and Eve. This is the one I showed you, and I really have a good time titling them. And I often don't know until I literally am playing with the figures. And I just finished one this morning, and the title is hilarious. My husband did not think it was funny. So that's kind of a clue on. But so there's corn. So these are my canvases. So I'm just loving to do decorative design, or color and form. Here's Adam and Eve having a picnic. And then I used to have my own textile business where I was wholesaling my artwork on textiles. So I love the whole idea of making stuff to sell. That is just a kick. So these are candlesticks, and they're on my website. Not everything, because I've got more than I had time to document. And my daughter said I need to do white things. It's very hard for me, but it's too easy. I mean, I just dunk it in my glaze. I mix my own glaze recipe. And then I wanted to try this little knobs. So these are fun knobs, a bunch of them. And someone asked me, do you do just single candlesticks? And I realized that when one of them, I usually do them in a pair, and then one of them, there's something wrong, it warps. So that's how I get singles. So those are the unmatched, more different ones. See more white. So I build these all individually, and I hand make all the parts, and then I connect them. Pretty fun. It's really fun to make these. I even have grandchildren making them. They love, I do, I'll show you how I do the parts. And another table of serving. It's the serving, I think, that having art as part of your entertainment where you're with people. This is a little backlit, but this one has got all these little parrots in the tree. I'm getting closer. All the parrots. And again, these are attached. I fired these leaves separately, and then I glue the wires are in the clay. Then after it's fired, I tinker toy and put it together. But this one wiggles. This one I put a little video on my website. Here's a little, that's kind of backlit there, you can see. I have some earrings that are amethyst beads that are made this way, so I copied how that was done.
Hey, Liz, there's a request to kind of zoom in a little closer to some of them for to show
Okay, good.
the detail.
Okay, so here is the three. So this is discovery of epoxy. And then at Fairfax Lumber getting rods and sticks that could go through these hollow things. So it's pretty tough. I made some plates so you can see up close. The brushwork is important. So I have a lot of different brushes so that I can get, you know, the look that I want. And so this one I was experimenting with. This one's kind of leaning. I'm not happy with it, but it's too late. So I would like to, should I show you anything up close? Should we, I saw Martha wanted to see up close so you can see the brush stroke. A gangster lane. So I'm gonna walk into my oh, and here's a few more things. I bought these metal things and I'm not happy. I wanted to make my own, so then I made my own. This design that I'm doing here, this type of a design, is from what I was seeing in Israel in the Armenian and Turkish tile areas. There was a monastery and I used to just sit and draw them. And then, well, that's my little Italian thing, but you can see here, this is, if you know your ceramic history, you recognize the Iznik and the Islamic artwork, the limited palette, a lot of turquoise. Here's my first Adam and Eve. Okay, so they're very staid there, just really boring. But it was the first one I did, and it's huge. So that, you know, was the challenge, how big. And it's the classic menorah from the Roman temple in Jerusalem that, although I've embellished it to look like it's from Mexico. So then I said, let's get Adam and Eve contemporary. Are you ready to go into my other place? I've taken over the house, by the way. There's the floor. Yeah. Okay. I did the floor. Yeah, this is
my Lord.
Leftover heath tile. My husband wanted to walk on water when he came in the house, and so we did that. Okay, so so here I am. This, the only way I could retire from teaching was to create another space that would inspire me. Mm-hmm. So this is my terracotta clay, and you can see it. I'll stand still. It's like chocolate. Oh my God. I still, just touching it, I feel the same thrill every time. So this one is just this morning. It's not quite done, but Adam and Eve are hanging out in the tree, and she's very casual. Usually you don't have your, well, my husband and I, it's me, it's autobiographical. So we're there, and the snake is always there close to her. And so this one is titled, The First Time Adam Never Got a Word in Edgewise, from the life and times of Adam and Eve. So that's, and then it functions a little candelabra with a pomegranate. Okay, so here's a few other pieces. Before I go there, I'm going to show you, this is Plaster Molds, and Richard Shaw's watching, and he would say, oh, that's no big, right? So it's easy. I made some birds in there too, but I'll just make a pile of them while I'm listening to French lessons, and I'll have these all ready, so then I can sit and just add them onto my armature. So how do I start the piece? I start with an idea, really usually very loose. Adam and Eve, empty nest. The incense cup is in the candelabra. Incense cup are part of the tree of life from Mexico. So this is a drawing. So I'll sketch it and I fold it in half so that I can match it. And then I'll put this on a board with plastic on top, and I hand roll coils of clay, and I basically lay over the design and connect it. And then I let it get leather hard. And that's this piece here. And I make the base just a circle of clay. I stick it over this ball and I let it get leather hard, and that's what that. And then that's solid clay all around here to keep it steady. So standing it up is because that's kind of my dicey little thing. I get excited. And so this has the wires on it. See, they're waiting for the birds going to go on there. And they're going to go all around. And I put little loops under there. I try to just put them all on. If I don't use them, it doesn't matter, because then I'll hang stuff in there. And I don't know what it's going to look like. At this point, as I go, I'm just making it up as I go along. So I thought, well, let's put Eve having her yoga in the middle. And she's always got the snake. So that's how we know. It's a little cliche, except I just had to do it. And I just don't hold back. I just do it if I want to.
I like the fact, Liz, that there's a little storytelling element in the art as well. That's kind of interesting for a ceramic piece, but there seem to be narratives in your mind, at least.
I think so. This one is just going to be decorative. It's going to be all these different flowers growing, and it doesn't have the same story or narrative as having. I mean, the Adam and Eve, that's why I have more to do of Adam and Eve, of course. And my husband did not think it was so funny to have that title. So yeah, this one is different. I was really looking at this endless variations on how to create this framework to then stick my things onto. So you can see, and they're just ceramics, basically. It's called score and slip, where you just rough up both surfaces and put a little goo and stick it together. These do want to warp and do awful things, so I have to watch them and keep them wrapped. I unwrap them for today. And let's see. And here's this one. I think this one is done. I'll stand back, you can see. This is Eve's first bath. And she's in a tub, and that's her fig leaf she put on the side. She's always taking off her fig leaf. So, and then the pomegranate, I like that, the candle thing. So there's going to be birds on top of those. And in all of the negative spaces, I don't know yet, I'll be hanging things. And I even have little loops on the bottom that could go. So, and then the snake is guarding it. He's looking forward. He's a little aggressive. Don't come too close. So there she is. And let's see. So let me just turn the camera for a second. And so there, I'd like to just take you outside to my kiln shed, because it's different. And I wanted to put my kiln inside that room, and my children forbid me because they said I'd burn the house down, but I'm glad I didn't. So I built this outside. So I'm going to show you, because Heath Tile in Sausalito was always unloading all these tiles on me at Redwood, because we did all these mosaic murals, and we did the sculpture garden, did all these things with Heath tiles. And there was more. I knew there was more that no one would want. So I took some home, and I had to make my it's raining. That's okay. I had to make the kiln room not burn down. So here we are.
Oh my God.
With-
Look at that. That's great.
Yeah. So
Wonderful.
there's the floor.
It's beautiful.
Okay. So this is, I've got all my stuff. It's a little intimate, but I did a plastic roof. And then this is a sliding door on this whole side. And these are going to be wine glasses, the bottom. Anyway, so this is the fun room. And I love to be in here. So I wanted you to see. So this is my walk. It's not good to take glazed work in and out in the rain. So I am weather. I wish I had an outside sink too. So, okay. So what I'm going to do now, here we are back in here. This is one of the wine glasses that that's kind of fun. Again, it's just me liking to make stuff. I guess get practical ideas. I can't help it. Okay, so would you like to go upstairs to see my other place I took over? Okay, let's walk. There's no room in the house left for anyone. Okay, so this is how I walk upstairs. That's my daughter Margie's painting. I thought it was fun to have it at the bottom of the stair.
Nice. And
so we're going up here. That was a chest that was in my parents' house I grew up with. Just always loved it. Mom got it for $10.
That's somewhat revealing. It's kind of thematic.
I know, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to go right now. I'm going to show you before I go to where I paint. I'm in the living room. Oh, my husband is right here watching. Okay. So this is a mural that I did to cover this really ugly wall when we moved in. And I just added to it slowly over a few years. So that's the big mural, and there's a mandala over there. Okay, so in here, okay, I'm not going to go too fast. So this just came out of the kiln, and this is Adam and Eve. It's the first kiss, but it's full of animals. If I jiggle it, it wiggles. So it's fun. It's it's that wonderful, playful, like Roy DeForest's wonderful sculptures. My in-laws had a piece of his that I always used to look at that had dogs and things on ropes. And there's, this is a result of going to the gem fair and getting rhinestones, or, the crystal. So it's just kind of silly. No one's here to tell me I can't do it. So I'm going to do it. Yeah. And it was really fun. I love chandeliers. And as a kid, I loved tiaras and all that stuff. So I got to kind of make my own. Okay, I'm going to go. Sorry, going fast. I'll go slow. Now let's go out. So this is I'm going slow. I have a Richard Shaw piece. Do you want to see it?
Yes.
This is a Mimi Lauter, my daughter in LA.
Oh, nice.
It's so big, I can't stand back enough. It's oil pastel. Let's go back further. You can't see it with the light. Okay, so, but here is Richard. That's Martha, his wife, in the box office.
Oh,
And,
wow.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful?
I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah. It was my in-laws and they gave it to me. Okay, so let's go out in the rain. Okay. So here's another floor thing.
Oh, that's right. This is yet another studio.
Another studio. I should call it the campus. So this was leftover tiles, nothing matched. So I just made lines that would go. It was fun. I was saving money so I could make this room. So this is this sun room, which is great in the rain. It's lovely. So this is where I draw, and then this is where I've been painting. And I want you to see my workstation. So I dip my pieces in the white glaze once they're fired. And then I just paint here. So fun. And I've got all these colors that just look like a bunch of paint, but they're ceramic colors. And when I was in Deruta in Italy, I had the guy, my teacher, take me to their supplier. It's like, show me the stuff you use. So if anyone wants to know about this, they can, message me directly. So these are some of the yellows that are just wonderful. And one of the things I discovered in doing a black line so it wouldn't smear, because watercolor, you do pen and ink and then you do your color over it. I mixed a little wax with my black so that then I could, it wouldn't smear when I painted the colors. But you can see my whole botany thing going on here of flowers that I've grown or that I know, or you guys recognize those. So it's not finished. I still have to do leaves and things. And I always have a gazillion greens, gazillion blues. I did arrange them so that I could have that. The other thing I've been doing, so these are waiting to be painted. I mean, there's the dog has a place here, but if they're dipped in white, then they're just waiting for my inspiration. And each piece is just made up. I don't have necessarily a plan. And then I was trying lamp bases. I thought that was fun. And then I'm attaching beads and things to them. So I wasn't sure where I was going with it. So it's just waiting for me to figure it out. Okay, so here I am in the nice studio, and I can answer some questions about what I'm doing, if you'd like.
And this studio, just by the way, is just for the painting part. It's just like a segregated studio just for that one function. That's pretty.
Well, this was supposed to be where everything was, and then I needed this, and yeah. It's yeah, I'm eyeing the other parts of the house too for, I don't know.
Truly unleashed creativity there. It's kind of expanding throughout your home.
Yeah, well, the house is great for art. I mean, it's filled with art. My children. So
again, if anyone has any questions, just I think we can do some Q&A at this point. So just see if
How does one ask a question?
let's see,
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Was that true? I think that's
Yes.
true.
Yes. I would like to ask a question.
Yes.
Who do you have helping you keep order is one question. Have you got a troop of people who come through and help you have order? And also, what effect does dreaming have in your life? Do you have images in your dreams, or do you keep it clear when
well, the people who help me organize, clean, make sense of everything, 3 people, me, myself, and I. And yeah, there's no one here. No one helps clean the house. They just help mess it. And so it's I'll focus, and then I have to clean up my act, and I sort of retrace my steps and clean up my own mess. And I do need the organization. I drift off, but I need it back. And then in terms of dreaming, I think my dreaming is a wake dreaming, because I do have some interesting dreaming, like the snake thing. And I did wake my husband up laughing really loud in the morning last week because it was related to something with the snake. When I told him, he thought it didn't make any sense. But I sit and I knit, and I just go off into the other world. So I think when I can have my hands doing something like knitting, I go into dream state.
I see. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let's see, are there any other
Liz, I didn't get to hear the beginning of your talk. Structurally, are you like extruding long coils of clay, or what are you doing?
I'm hand rolling it. The
Okay.
reason I'm hand making all my coils is because I change the thickness of them depending on which part of the structure. They need to be thicker, just like a branch of a tree. So I was thinking I needed to standardize it with the extrusion, which maybe some of you don't know what that it is. It's basically like a sausage thing. It squeezes out a big poop of clay. And then it's too much of the same. Yeah, I need them to be organic. I really want the nature form, the growth forms of tapering, and that all comes from
Yeah.
the
So
hand roll.
they're solid and you're just rolling them out. Okay.
They're solid, but also where on the big armatures, the trunk area, I'll shove a stick in there and twist it around so I do hollow out
Okay.
the thicker areas.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
There was actually another question exactly about that. Or was there any tubes involved? Says, are they solid coils or tubes? You're saying
They're solid. They're not, I think they're like 3/4 of an inch thick is kind of the thicker one. Then they taper smaller, and they warp. So I'll show you, there's one on the wall here. I forgot to show you. There.
Oh, beautiful.
And this one, I'll come in close. So the coils are maybe 1/2 inch thick, and then I added all these beads. This is glass that I'm doing with Marty Mead, and we're starting up again our little glass studio. It's so fun. So I've been adding elements of that in there. I meant to show you that before.
And
Yeah.
the wire hooks, you're gluing in afterwards, or you're using?
I fire the wire into the clay because then it's like locks in there. And then like Tinker Toys, if I'm going to add a leaf or something or a bird onto the wire, I will fire that separately and then stick it on.
I can't remember the name of that wire. It's a special wire that you can fire.
Well, you can get it at the ceramic supply to get the high temperature wire.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Right.
It comes in different thicknesses.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It works really good, doesn't it? It's fabulous that you could hang all those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I understand you do waterfalls. Do you have any of those in your displays?
Any what?
Waterfalls.
Waterfalls.
Yeah. Did you do those, or fountains?
Oh, I haven't done that. I did that with my students. We had the fountain project that you got a pump and you got a tube, and you had to figure out how to hold the water and get it up and then have it fall down again somewhere. So that was really more of a student project. I can't think of my own. I'm doing lamp bases. That's kind of like fun. It's what I'm doing now.
What about your goblets? And can we see
So
those?
those are downstairs on the table.
Okay.
And they're on my website. And the person speaking now is my mother. I recognize her voice.
I love it.
Also a fan.
Did she do
My
ceramics too? Did your mother do ceramics?
No.
No.
She's just a fan.
You did bread dough, right?
and just a reminder for people who may have come late. I know someone mentioned they missed part of it. This is being recorded, so later it won't be immediate, but we will have it on the website later if you want to see this again. Just another heads up on that. It'll be on the
Thank you.
Geronimo Center website.
Yeah. And also, if you want to contact me directly, I love it. You can find me just easy on the website. It'll link to my email. And also, if you want to ask about buying a piece or just have more private time with me, just let me know and we can go on FaceTime.
And by the way, Liz, yeah, I meant to mention also, we've been putting those contact bits of information in the chat, so you can find, the Etsy or the website, or if you have questions about the purchases or anything, just put that in the chat and Liz can get back to you on that.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
So you're doing a white glaze and then you're doing the like the underglazes on top of the white glaze? Is
Yeah,
that
the
what you're doing?
ceramic colors are really strong concentration of color. So that they are actually could go just under a clear glaze. But in Italy, they want the strong, so we go for the strong, and it really
Okay.
works. You can dilute it like watercolor.
Yeah, but it looks great, solid. The really bright colors look beautiful.
It's a little bit too bright sometimes when I just like, so what? More is better.
Right.
I saw one person was asking if I have more ideas for projects, and I think I just have to start knitting some more, and then I get more ideas. But the Adam and Eve, like playing with dolls. I don't know how many people do, but once you've animated these figures, you create these clay figures, and then you put them in a situation like a tree of life, then the way you move them starts to speak back to you. So it's very fun dialogue, because I don't always know what Adam and Eve are going to do until, one of them bends their head and, oh, they're talking, so anyway, it's wonderful process to play. It's real play with clay dolls.
Yeah.
Liz, there is another question about, will you ever offer workshops from your home studio?
Well, I was thinking that I need maybe my neighbor Marcia to be my camera person, because I hate it when when someone teaches you and then you can't really see what they're doing up close. I just wanted the camera to be like on call wherever. So I couldn't do it myself. So if someone could help me, I could do it. Yeah.
Yeah, Liz, it's Dave Court, and Howie and I are really, really enjoying this so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and yeah, it was wonderful to hear your working with Marty also. And our daughter spent many amazing days in her studio doing the glass work, and just seems like just such a wonderful connection, you and Marty working together. Now you built your studio. How many years have you been in the Valley?
Since in 2004, we moved here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, it feels like I just moved here, but it's been the longest I've ever lived anywhere.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting mentioning 2004. Our family had an amazing trip to Italy, and we spent an entire day in Deruta. And my sister, who was an artist in San Francisco, she had a good friend at the Grazie. Yeah. And so I'm sure you've been there.
Well, I was almost arrested because I went there and the door was closed. And I checked it because I just thought, let me see if the door is open. And it was. And this is the De Grazie, which is the oldest Majolica factory in Italy. And they've kept alive the tradition. And there's this amazing showroom in there, and you can buy stuff. And so my husband's parking the car, and the door opened, and it was 10 minutes after the closing. So I went in and thinking, hello. To make a long story short, my husband joined me. We were going all through the place. We were up in the back art room with the antiques. Like no one, I thought, oh my God, it's good I'm a ceramics teacher, because I would know not to touch any of this. And I took pictures of everything, all these antiques, and it was this candy land. And then suddenly we heard this, and so what's that? And it got louder and louder. And I said, that's an alarm. We better go. And so we started to run out and go down like Hansel and Gretel. No, like Goldilocks. Going down this big, wonderful stairs, and we get to the door, and it wouldn't open. It was locked, and there was a voice on the other side. Go open up. Who are you? Who are you? And I said, I'm Liz Lauter. I'm a ceramics teacher. And I was still like so excited to be so close to all that art that I didn't freak out. And finally the guy opened the door, and it was Mr. DeGrazia. He was like this, and he says, look, who are he again? And I said, well, who are you? I am Eduardo DeGrazia. This is my factory, and I've called the police are coming. And I said, I'm a ceramics teacher. And anyway, he called off the police, and it was made a great story to tell my students. It was so worth it.
He gave us a private tour, Dr. Ubaldo, and it was fully, we got to go in every room and see all the artists and everything. Then, so they take you on this like 2 or 3 hour tour, and then they take you in that showroom, and he probably is the greatest salesperson I have ever met in my life. I mean, it was like impossible not to spend like way more money than you thought you would.
Well, maybe that's why he was so mad, because I took my own tour.
That's right. It's been in their family, the same family since the late 1400s. It's outside of Japan and China. It's the oldest business owned by the same family on the planet, except for, like I said, Japan and China. The place is amazing and so inspiring.
Yeah. So I have a picture of him standing in his gate, and I just refused to be upset. I just was still so excited to be there. And he's just like this, right at the gate. I took, hi, take a picture. Anyway, it was worth it. It was so worth it.
Thank you for sharing that story.
Remarkable. And does anyone else have any questions here or comments?
What a wonderful show.
Thank you.
Very exciting. You're very inspiring.
Thank you.
I have to second that. Just seeing somebody who's doing so much work, it kind of amps you up a little bit, I think.
Liz, thank you so much. This is Suzanne Zanowski. I love your work so much. I've loved it for years. It's wonderful to see you in your studio and see all the creativity. It just, all over the place. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love your menorahs and Hanukkahs. They're just beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
It is interesting how your work kind of crosses several cultures, and you could, I wouldn't have thought of the connection between, work in Mexico.
Well, the Tree of Life, and just the Islamic experience in Israel, the folk art from Mexico, from growing up in San Francisco, and the botany studies of flowers, and then it all can kind of east meets west right here in Forest Knolls, and come together.
And your childhood,
a real fusion.
Don't forget your childhood furniture there that I saw as you went by.
Which furniture? What?
It was painted in, I think it was in your kitchen or something.
Oh, in the dining room. Yeah, the kids painted. Those are $10 library chairs from UC Berkeley, and my kids painted them when that was how we made our furniture.
So there is a question from Jasper. He's asking, can you talk about the line between fine art and craft?
I know. That's where I just I feel this pressure from the art world that it's just low class to do craft, and so and then my daughter Mimi Lauter, you can look her up. She's a very successful fine artist in LA, and I really hear that message that as soon as something is useful or utilitarian, it slips off the pedestal. And then I look at the Tree of Life, the sculptures from Mexico, and I think, well, those are practical. I mean, those are folk art, historical. And So I just try not to think about it or worry about it and just follow what I want to do and let the labels trail after me. Maybe in 2 years, what I make will be evolved into something different. So if I second guess what I do, I might not grow as an artist. I really do have my sculptural work is completely different thinking than my plates or my bowls and cups and things that are, put food on. So I just don't want to be self-conscious about it. I say that I'm a folk artist sometimes, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. Maybe I'll look back at this recording later in a few years and I'll laugh. So I think we define ourselves slowly when we're emerging as artists.
Seems like all of those different worlds you put together would come under something I would call fusion.
Yeah. Well, East meets West is so much behind what interests me.
Yes.
And that's the synapse where the opposites, or not opposites, but the very different approaches. I've always loved that polarity.
Mm-hmm.
Liz, this is Beth. I love your beautiful, meaningful narratives, and gosh, I've always been so inspired by you and your amazing energy. Liz and I taught in the town district together for 19 years. Yeah, and she was always doing something else. It was like, does this woman ever sleep? And so it's just been wonderful to see what you've done now that you aren't spending hour after hour teaching and planning to teach. Fabulous.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the energy of being in a high school classroom. It pulls away from. I mean, you could still do your own art, but I admire anyone who's full-time teaching who's also can keep their head in their artwork. It's physically draining.
Mm-hmm.
Did you study ceramics somewhere before you?
Oh, I was 11 and my mother put me in a ceramic studio around the corner from our house in San Francisco, Ruby O'Burke Studio, which has become like this thing. Ruby passed away years ago, and she taught me ceramics, and I went there after school every day. I was the only kid until I left high school. I was the TA ceramics teacher at Lowell High. I was helping the football players on the pottery wheel and flirting with them at the same time. But I learned it really on my own after that. And teaching at Redwood, I remember sitting in front of the electric kiln on a stool with a stomachache because I could not figure out how to program it. I'd never seen a thing like that. I had helped Ruby do the gas kiln. So my growth has been wonderful. That's why teaching is so fun, because you just always learn something. And so I added to my knowledge base and experience every minute I could, workshops and everything. So
One reason I ask is because I went to Alfred University in upstate New York, which has a 4-year degree and graduate degrees in ceramic design. So I went to school with a lot of people who became ceramists, potters. It's a wonderful, wonderful art. And don't anybody say it's not art.
Thank you.
Mm.
Yeah, no, it's chemistry, it's world history, anthropology, it's pattern design. I would always tell my students that you just stay in my class, you'll learn everything. And it really is, it's this wonderful, wonderful form. It's so concrete, it's so satisfying. But you can also be a fine artist and paint on it and really use it, in your own way.
Yeah, I kind of think of you, it seems like you were using this as sort of a ceramic on canvas kind of notion. I mean, it seems like what you're doing with your ceramics is very painterly to me. I can see a lot of canvases of the same.
Well, I
Same thing.
I didn't show you any paintings of mine in the house when we walked, but I mean, I studied with Thibaut, and it very traditional, but fun, colorful. So I feel like my core is as a drawing and painting. So I slip over. That's why Majolica is so great, because it's full palette, and I feel like I can do a lot with it. So still see what
I studied at Ruby's also.
you did.
I did, like maybe in the early 70s when Ruby was still alive.
Okay, I was there.
Yeah, my friends and I used to call ourselves Ruby's girls because we were like followers. But she was so feisty, but she really inspired everyone. She was fabulous.
Yeah.
She was such a character, but she really got everybody into sculpture because
I think later when it was harder for her to throw clay on the wheel, she was sculpting more. But earlier we were on the wheel, and she was very irritable. And I remember going up in her apartment, which was upstairs, and it was completely covered in clay dust. So maybe that's what did her in.
What neighborhood was that?
Noe Valley.
Oh, that wasn't Ruby.
It's
was
still there.
Yeah, it's still there. Yeah. I know. I go over there every now and then just for nostalgia's sake. But she was so feisty. She was like half my size. I mean, I just towered over her. But she was very powerful and very particular. Like, she made us do glaze chemistry with her, which was really hard because I had never taken chemistry before. But she made us invent our own glaze, at least one.
Right.
She had all these beautiful glazes too that she had invented.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, I have some of her pieces.
Do you? I have one. I have a tea bowl that she made after she went to Japan.
Okay.
She went to Japan with one of her Japanese friends, and when she came back, she made some tea bowls. And she gave me one when I left there, which was really. She pushed a lot of us out the door at one point. She said, "You got to go out to San Francisco State." So that's what we did. Because by that time we were doing sculpture and we needed, a big old gas kiln, and, we knew how to fire gas kilns because she taught us.
Right.
So some of us ended up at San Francisco State. And there was a big sculpture yard there, and you could do anything because they knew they were going to tear the gas kiln down because they were going to build a new building, which they eventually did. They built a new art building at San Francisco State. It's so ugly. It's all doors, it's all rooms with doors that close. But when we were there, it was all open, and there was this huge sculpture yard, and they didn't care what we did because they were going to tear it all out. So we had total freedom. It was a very cool time.
Yeah.
But we might have been there at the same time. I got my MFA there in '92, and what you're describing is what I remember. It was fabulous.
Yeah, it was really fabulous. Yeah.
Well,
Even the stabler running around. Yeah, it's hard to beat.
Yeah.
I feel sad that I missed the ceramic scene at Davis, because coming out of Ruby's, I heard that if you threw a pot on the wheel, they would smash it. So I said, I'm not going there. I'm not going in that department. Oh God. I missed I wouldn't have had Thibaut. So, was Richard there, and Gilhooly, and all these people who now I know their names, Arthur Gonzalez, they're all there.
Yeah.
And I was
Pretty incredible.
We had Stephen DeStabler at San Francisco State. So that was fabulous. Yeah, that was it. I didn't go into the ceramics. I went into sculpture.
Okay.
I started in ceramics and I could tell it was too constraining. So I switched over to sculpture, and then I had all the freedom I needed and learned how to weld and stuff, all that other stuff. Yeah. Liz, it's great to see your work. It's very inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you for the compliments.
Just
really nice.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see your work in person one of these days.
Well, I'm opening up for Marin Open Studios.
Oh,
I'll
good.
have my shots by then. Well, the second one in a couple weeks,
Good.
and I'll do an outdoor thing.
Oh, great. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can have you over at the San Geronimo Valley Community Center one of these days in the semi-near future.
Okay.
Hi,
Okay.
this is Marie. I miss your weekend classes at your Redwood High School.
I know.
Many of your classes, and I miss the holiday fair at the San Geronimo, where you usually have a booth. And Ellen has that you just talked to is the instructor at the San Francisco Aquatic Park Senior Center. So we have a couple people watching today.
Oh, wonderful.
And,
Wonderful.
Oh, I see your studio and I just wonder, okay, I can expand my rooms now. I can start moving.
Just don't let anybody come to sleep over. That messes up everything.
Well, we're all sheltering
over.
in place, so that's not been an issue for some time.
Well, I was part of what was hard about retiring from teaching was my classroom had become this palace of everything I knew how to do. There was a trail to it in the room, printing on clay and welding and stained glass and just all these sculptural mediums besides just clay, and ceramic clay instrument making. 20 years of being a Rolling Stone was in that room, and so I had to create something at home that would make me just feel like I had replaced it. That's slowly, but I've been happy to be home and excited. I can barely go to sleep at night. I can't wait to wake up because I've got something I want to get to in one of the spots. But I did feel like my studio at school, I shared it with that workshop program. Thank you for you guys for chiming in. People who came to my workshops, usually I would do a Saturday workshop with a guest artist, maybe 5-6 times a year, different ones. And it was usually something that I wanted to learn that I'd find someone to teach. And then I had all these people come, these wonderful artists and teachers, and anyone was welcome. So
Well,
that chapter is kind of sad.
I was a high school teacher that commuted into the city. I left in dark and I came back in the dark. And since I've been retired now, I've started ceramics. I do photography. And I had a part of an art minor when I was going to school, but I never had time to finish it because I was commuting to Alameda every day. So now I'm playing artist and I'm loving it. So, and thanks to you, you have such the high school was 30 wheels or something, and all these vats where you mixed your glazes and all of that. And really nice to see. We lost our ceramics class at the high school I was teaching many, many, many years ago. The art program was just, practically nothing. Yeah, which was too bad.
I know that at UCLA, my daughter, when she was a student down there and later was friends with her graduate students in the ceramics department and the art department, they said they were having a hard time recruiting students because there are not a lot of ceramic programs left in the high schools. And so that they could feel it at the college level. But I recommend people.
Well, maybe another question or so. We need to we're well past the hour, which means this is a very successful event, and I really very
well. Yeah, I think it's so wonderful. We have so many teachers here, and I'm just kind of wondering from all our teachers, like with this pressing pause for a year for the pandemic and the students, not being in, like, do you foresee, any, because I think, one thing people really, really will realize how much they've missed the arts. So I'm just wondering if, I'm hoping maybe we see some sort of like a renaissance in arts education. And, I know Jasper is really, really advocating for some major changes in education post the pandemic. So yeah, I'd love to hear from, there's so many teachers I have so much respect for.
Well, High School 1327, or whatever we will soon be named. Yeah, I teach ceramics, 5 classes of ceramics, and in the spring, they cut us off immediately. So we did multimedia stuff through the spring of last year. And in August, when we reopened, every ceramic student got a 25-pound block of B-mix. And we've been hand building like crazy all fall, and kids dropping things off at the kiln room door. I've been firing, and kids are glazing outside, and now we're hybrid. So I'm teaching the wheel again, and they're still working at home, hand building. In fact, I'm prepping as we sit for tomorrow. Anyway, it's a very exciting time. I mean, yes, it's been frustrating, and it's so nice to have the kids back. And it was better before, but we've all learned a lot. The kids have had a lot of time to learn more about themselves. It's been great for some kids, horrible for others. But we've been forging on, and I'm really proud of the teachers and all of the disciplines here, and the students, just how much we've adapted. I think it's been monumental and really inspiring.
Yeah, our senior center where I've been teaching has been closed, of course, for a year. And I don't know when it's going to reopen. It's really frustrating because everybody wants to be back working. And I think there's going to be way more people that are going to come and sign up for classes. And it's great, but we need to have more senior centers teaching ceramics, because I have some, I have a lot of seniors from all over San Francisco, and there's senior centers that don't do art or that don't do ceramics. So I think that's going to be a really big need. But whether it's going to happen, a lot of them, the money kind of dried up. They lost a lot of money this year from not having the funding from San Francisco, from city and county. So there's going to be a lot of issues, but I'm really seeing that the seniors I have from age 55 all the way up into their 90s, I've got people doing fabulous art. And it's not anything I'm teaching. It's things that they're just bringing out of themselves. People who had whole careers doing something else and always wanted to do art, or maybe they did it in high school, maybe a little in college, and they finally get back to it and they're so creative. It's just unbelievable what people are doing. So I really think we need to, besides getting it back into the high schools, we need to get it into the senior centers too. And I haven't figured out how to do that yet.
That's such a good point. Before I started teaching in the town district, I taught, in 3 different community art situations down on the peninsula. Foster City at the community center there, amazing, and San Mateo as well, amazing facilities. And they were not just places for people to do art, but they became the communities for so many, especially of the older people.
Mm.
I mean, they supported each other through every kind of family crisis you can imagine. And really important segment of our community.
Right.
Yeah, very good point.
And the other scary thing, I do a photography club, and my room that I meet in is very, very small at the senior center in Aquatic Park. And so I've been doing Zoom meetings weekly, and we share our photographs and everything. And it's been going on this last year. And now if we go back into the building, I have a problem because the room's going to hold 5 people, and I've got more than that have been meeting. So I don't know if the Zoom is going to take over and be an ongoing thing. It's helped us keep our communication open, our skills open, and being able to dialogue with one another. But you look at the structures that we've been using before, and the structures, how they're going to have to be set up when we go back, and they don't match. So a lot of structures are going to be very, very limiting in size and number of participants.
Well, I have a lot of optimism at this point that we're going to start, that we've already sort of turned the ship around here, that, you know, the vaccines are all coming. And I think there's going to be a huge flurry of in-person activity, including a lot of art workshops and what have you. And including the community center.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I just do it in the street, have tables down the street and everyone comes out.
Yeah.
Start making.
We need outdoor studios for sure,
Mhm.
under a canopy of some sort.
Yeah.
I love your
I have
house.
a quick question, Liz.
I have been teaching in my outdoor studio, and it's been wildly popular, but of course, to keep it COVID safe, I could just have small groups. I have my studio inside, but I also have the whole outdoor space that I've worked hard to improve. But I have hot and cold water. I have lights and a roof, and I'm lucky to have like my kilns in a separate shed, which I agree with your family, Liz. It is safer to have a separate building. I had to fight off the rats. I had to do a whole rat proofing. It was disgusting, but I did that, invested in it, and I got to repaint the interior. So I have a nice setup here, but I can only take 8 kids maximum. I am full. And unfortunately, I think really we have to also grapple with this changing weather, and climate change is obviously really here to stay. So when I first started my classes, I just finished cleaning everything and did this whole painting wall. It was pristine and white, ready for the kids to fill. And we had a couple of classes, then the ash fell on everything. So it was the bad air was really more of a problem than the rain.
Yeah.
I freeze out there. I wear many layers. The kids don't freeze because they move around and they can run around my backyard to warm up. But it's been kind of ideal teaching because I get to teach small groups for an hour and a half of mixed ages. They could draw, paint, and do clay. It's been wildly popular, but it's not a full living. It's, there's strictures what I can do. I have my teen class. I have my class, a couple classes full of first grade girls. So teaching outside can happen, but it's a little hard on the teacher.
Yeah. Laurel, I noticed you had a question.
Yeah. Hi, Liz. I have a quick question.
Yeah.
You spend so much time doing that. And do you listen to music?
Oh, all
What
the
do you
time.
listen to?
Okay, so I put my Pandora on, and I'm not musical, so other people say, you've been listening to the same tape over and over, but I just go into my head. I listen to jazz, and then I have a Mozart Pandora station. So I go between those two, and I actually, in adjusting to creating a home studio, I wasn't comfortable at first, and I didn't know what to do to want to go in the studio and feel happy in there. So I added lights, like, those outdoor party lights in the sunroom here, and I put music on, and then that was fun. Yeah.
Got
I
it.
created atmosphere, and then it worked. And I have to have the music on. It just, it's like someone just serves you a cup of coffee in the morning. It's like, you just enter the space.
Yeah.
I did hear you, Liz, say that you were studying French as well in your
Yes. Can you see me there? My battery there. Yeah. Yeah, because we're going to France now that we can. One of my Mimi is having a show in Brussels in June, and so we're going. And I studied French in college and forgot it. So my grandchildren are going to help me. I have 2 granddaughters, and they they burst into laughter when I said that they were beautiful, because I apparently said that they smelled good.
Oh.
And so anyway, I'm trying to just keep up with them. They're very patient with me. So they're just,
It's wonderful.
You have to.
but I have this little tape thing that goes, and I'm just just doing all that.
Where it takes.
Yeah.
Well, I think we are about to wrap up. I heard you saying your battery's dying, so I'm getting a little concerned.
Well, I just plugged in my phone, but Okay.
So unless anyone has another, oh, I see Richard Shaw over there. Do you have your
Yes.
mic on?
Go. It was great. How do you talk on this thing?
Can you hear
You're
us?
succeeding.
Okay. Just say thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
We have to go out to Forest Knolls and feed the grandchildren and the children. This has been great. And
Thank you.
you're making me want to get back in that studio as
Yeah.
fast as I can.
Absolutely.
That was wonderful, all the questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard. I want you to come over.
We spied
Okay, you're gonna come over.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
So
Liz, thanks
just
a
before,
million.
I want to, Liz, thank you so much. It's been an inspirational. It's been a lot of fun, but it's just been
Very
plain inspirational as well. And thank everyone for showing up for this. And we're going to, we've been doing this once a month, and we're going to do another one, by the way, on April 11th with Richard Lang and Judith Lang. And it's going to be really thematically around Earth Day. They have some art that they're doing around that. So you can check back next month, April, I think 11th. And again, with Liz, your website is in the chat. LizLauter.com, your Instagram, your Facebook, your email, all of that is in the chat. So anyone who wants to kind of find out more or talk to you or contact you should be able
Welcome.
to do all that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, the teacher is still in me.
That's very
Great.
apparent. You did a very teacherly job here, I think, of making it
Fabulous. It was really fabulous.
sugar-coated education. Let's put it.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Larry and Liz and Dave.
Okay,
So much.
thanks.
While we're
Thanks,
thinking,
Liz.
we need to thank
Thank you.
Rebecca Teague also, who was doing all the tech and making sure this worked for us. Thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, the Cultural Center. Wonderful part of our world here. We're in our own wonderland out here.
I know.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
Thank you all.
thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Have a good
Bye.